Welcome to Happiness Hunch.
Hey everyone.
We are Lynn and Mike, and today we wanted to talk about minimalism, a hunch that we had about 5 years ago, that if we had less, it might actually be more.
Yeah.
I started reading this blog called Becoming Minimalist by Joshua Becker, and I just found his words fascinating and inspiring. And at the time, we had a senior in high school, and we were thinking, wow, people are going to be leaving our house. What does that mean? And at the time, we had a house that was about 4,000 square feet, and I was already feeling like I couldn't find my kids, mainly my teenagers, and wanted to spend more time with them. And so as I was reading about minimalism, I thought, this is something we should really consider embracing.
So, as Lynn always does, she started forwarding me lots of posts. And so apparently she wanted to get my attention with this. And the other thing that was going on for me is that she for a while, she kept complaining about how big our house was and how much cleaning she had to do. And for my part, I was constantly complaining and worried about all the maintenance on the house, how much there was to take care of, how much it was going to cost to keep up our house in the years ahead. And I think one of the big realizations that we had was that within 4.5 years from the time that this started for us, we were going to go from having 6 people living in our home to having 3. So cutting the size of our family living under that roof in half with 1 child at home, and then that was only going to last 4 more years. And then within I think, what did we say, 8 years, or we were just going to be just the 2 of us living in that house. And we thought, what in the heck do we need 4,000 square feet for? And then on top of that, we noticed that we could never find our kids in our house. Like, it was, they were always tucked away, hidden away in some sort of corner, or maybe locked up in their room. And that in this particular home, we were never together in a common space. And that part of that was the layout of the house, and it really drove us crazy. But it was also just because there was so much space for our kids to kind of retreat into.
Right. And we have teenagers, and I think it's really normal for teenagers to sort of retreat and kind of want their own space and do that quite often. But I started thinking, this isn't altogether healthy. Like, yes, our teens need some space alone. They need more silent time. They need more time to think about their life and who they are and who they're called to be. But they also need family, and they need to be around people. They need to feel loved and to really have a lot of community. That seems like it's really, really important, especially in this day and age when we hear about suicide so often. So I started thinking, you know what, I just don't like all this space. I'm thinking it's actually a barrier to what we really wanted for our family.
Yeah, which is kind of an irony, really.
Yeah.
And they were also just on their social media stuff all the time, and, just, I don't know, it's getting sucked into the black hole of their devices and their video games, our boys, and all the Snapchatting and all that stuff for our daughter, and looking at YouTube videos on how to put on makeup, and it was just endless hours, and we were not together in the same space.
So there was a void. We were feeling a void in our family, like, this isn't what it should feel like. We're not building community here. So maybe we need to embrace this less is more idea, because we started out, our first house was how big?
Well, our first house was 1,400 square feet. That was our starter home. Then we bumped up to a house that was 1,600 square feet. And of course, we said last time that this is our 6th house, so we have moved around a lot for different reasons. But then we bumped up to a house that was about 3,600 square feet, and then then we had 2 homes that were around 4,000 square feet, and now we downsized to 2,000 square feet. So almost back to where we started. With really this, our full-size family, living in our home, not on a full-time basis, but our college kids come home and during the summer and holidays, and, we're kind of packed in here like a little bit,
But we are packed in here, but we are seeing them a lot more. And we specifically, when we gutted this house, we designed it in such a way with them in mind, with the sense of community in mind. And so it's an open space. We even purchased furniture that would be accommodating, that teens would be interested in. And just in the effort to really build our family community, And it really worked. I mean, I have to say, don't you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, we did. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time designing this space to be something that we felt the kids would want to hang out in. And we didn't tell them this, so that we just wanted to see what would happen. And what we saw happen almost immediately was that everybody wanted to hang out in the main kitchen family room area by the fireplace. And so now when everybody's together, everybody hangs out there. It's people just kind of hang out on the couches, and they're still on their devices, but at least
But they take breaks from it.
Yeah,
and there's a lot more interchange.
Yeah.
A lot more interchange.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
that's probably the biggest benefit, I think, of our embracing the less is more. There have been some other ones too. It is less cleaning because there's less square footage. We need less furniture.
Yeah, we got rid of probably half of our stuff.
Yeah, we definitely
Half of
did.
our
And
stuff.
it was kind of an interesting thing because I had a beautiful dining room set. And I was able to just give that away. And it was kind of an awesome experience because the family we were able to give it away to had an elderly sort of disabled person that this table they were able to roll up with the wheelchair and sit at the table. And anyway, it just felt good giving stuff away and at the same time setting up a scenario for our family that was just more conducive to the sense of community and closeness that we really desired.
Yeah.
So we noticed there's financial benefits too. Utilities
Or less.
utilities are less, and even the way we set up our mortgage, we're going to end up in a good spot. There were kind of layers to how we put this all together, and so some of the later layers are being paid off, and then we're going to end up with something more basic and easy to work with in the end.
Well, the other thing too is we really hope we don't move again.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Yeah, that would be great. And so when we designed the space, we designed it so that we could really retire here on one floor.
Yes.
And not have to go down any steps. So that was forward thinking. Not that we're going to be doing that anytime soon, but we really just wanted to think ahead and plan and be really sensible and intentional about it. One thing I wanted to add though to this is that we, it was a tough decision because as you scale up, you kind of feel like you're making progress.
Yeah,
and it was really hard psychologically for us to get over the barrier that we really weren't scaling up our lives. We were really putting ourselves into a quagmire because our life was consumed constantly with taking care of.
Right. The house was getting bigger, but the peace was going down, the peace of mind, and the stress was going up. And so we weren't winning. We thought that's what we were supposed to do, to win. Like, this is what you do. You start out with a small house and you build up. And we did that. And when we got there,
we were miserable.
We were stressed out, and we just lacked peace, and we lacked what we really wanted for our family. And so it was a great move, and from there.
And I remember I just wanted to recount a conversation I had with a buddy of mine. So right around this time that Lynn was discovering this post and reading these books and stuff, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he's someone who always inspired me. His name's Scott, and he has 8 children, and they live in a house that actually is smaller than our house still. Our house is 19. I think like 17 or 1,800 square feet, but they've got 10 people living in that home, which, they're really packed in like sardines. But we went out to coffee over Christmas, and I was just kind of complaining about my problems of my financial burdens and, how big our house was, and just tired of all the rat race of the upkeep and maintenance and the leaves. I had so many leaves. It took 2 months to get the leaves out of my yard. It was just crazy. And beautiful yard. Loved it. Landscaping was incredible. But, I had all these mature trees, and it was impossible to clean them up in the fall. But I just remember he looked across the table at me, and he just said, well, what are you waiting for? What's stopping you? And I was like, I don't know. I just don't want to move again. I just don't want to do this again. But anyway, over the course of the months that followed that, we just said, let's do this. Let's just do this. So we started, we went out and started looking for houses in the kind of early springtime, and by June 9th, we purchased this home, and we did a whole house renovation on it. And
on the inside.
On the inside.
Still working on it.
Outside is not done. Still a little bit, just kind of boring on the outside. But anyhow, so that's kind of our story of downsizing and realizing that the the most important thing that we feel as a family we can do is to create opportunity for us to be together as a family and build our relationships. And that's what it means for us that less is more. Less stuff means more quality time with each other, and
more financial capabilities to do things together as a family, or
yep.
or to even be more charitable to others, be able to give more. So we'd love to hear if you have had an experience similar to ours. Have you done any downsizing? Have you figured out that less can be more? So share in the comments if you've had this experience and what it was like for you. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time,
follow your hunches.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.